you've got mail. Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Anon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning. And Katie's here.
Morning.
Good morning. And Spence is here.
Good morning. Good morning.
And Gal is here. So,
I am here.
full
Good
house.
morning.
Our
been a
number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. And just a side note, we want to dedicate this show to Sareed's dad, Gadi, who passed away last week. That's it. So, what's happening, guys?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing
enti-
happening.
No, the entire
Dead-
internet.
Dead week.
Yeah. The entire internet didn't go
Literally
down.
nothing. There are no flights. There's no.
It was an easy day for me at work because our whole system went down, and so everybody, all the tech people, were all hands on deck. And then eventually, our boss was like, "You know what, guys, just go home because we can't really do anything." And I was like, "Okay."
So let's hear about it. I would love to. So, what happened with you? What were you not able to do? Can you
run
walk us through it?
to those who are clueless? Let's explain the process, like the timeline.
Sure.
First.
Go
Okay?
ahead. Go ahead,
So,
Gal.
as far as I understand, right? There's two issues. Okay. One, there was a malfunction in Microsoft Azure. Just something with data retrieval. I think a router. At that part I didn't even dive into, but that then compounded into something else. But the first one affected a lot of airline travel who were relying on Azure databases in the backend. Azure is Microsoft's cloud.
And let's be clear, this was not an FAA. There's been issues in the past where the FAA has had issues with like TSA and like, oh, they can't let people through security. This, from what I understand, this wasn't a security issue. This was an airline issue. The airlines themselves could not
Billing issue.
check people into flights,
Right,
like
yeah.
that whole thing.
Yeah, it's basically they couldn't check their databases to see who's registered, who's online,
Where the
like
planes
who's-
are.
yeah, who's seated where. They couldn't print boarding passes, and they couldn't process payments.
Sure.
Importantly, even though they canceled flights, that caused them to cancel flight, and even though they canceled flights, you couldn't book an alternative flight until the system comes back, right? So the amount of emotional pressure, right, was way high. This is not a weather event or just a shut down airport where everything else continues to work. It's the airlines themselves are completely halted to a screech. So that's the database issue. While they're working on that and resolving that, right, then came the security update from CrowdStrike. And that hit everywhere because they, I think their website state that they have 60% of Fortune 500 customers. It's like out of the Fortune 500 listed, 60% of them are CrowdStrike customers. Right?
What is CrowdStrike?
It's basically, think about it as an elaborate antivirus managed from a central location. Okay, that's a simplification, oversimplification of it, but it's a security suite. It's installed on all of the endpoints. It's installed on the servers, and because it's a security suite, it is tied very deep into the OS, right? So it has drivers of its own to mitigate, like to help solve attacks on rootkits and stuff like that. You need to be very deep in the OS in order to make sure that nothing goes wrong there. But they also run their own update process. They do not go through the Microsoft update process, obviously, right? They have their own, but that means that they are upgrading drivers to the OS through their own system. And
Mm.
that is exactly what happened. One of the components has a driver. That driver was failing on boot. Literally, and it was ubiquitous. It's the amount um, of machines that weren't affected. They weren't affected either because they're very outdated, and so something in that driver didn't trigger it, right? Or they're just previous OSs that didn't get the update didn't affect whatever it was.
So Amnon was
basic-
fine, but he was very,
Amnon-
very,
Hey,
very,
it's
very,
not-
very
it-
out of date.
It's not just Amnon, it was fine. It says, nearly every flight in the U.S. is grounded right now following a CrowdStrike system update error that's affecting everything from travel to mobile ordering at Starbucks.
Oh,
But
Jesus.
not,
I didn't know that.
but
That,
not,
that was the biggest story right there. People couldn't get their caffeine.
but not Southwest Airlines flights.
Ah,
Southwest is still flying high, unaffected by the outage that's plaguing the world today. And that's
They're on
apparently
Oracle.
because it's using Windows 3.1.
What?
Jeez.
Yep.
no, that's their back end is still 3.1 for
Apparently.
check-in and stuff.
That's the thing. I don't think it's the back end. I really doubt it's the back end, right?
There's
I-
no
I-
way.
Well-
and understand. I also think that the CrowdStrike thing, right, mostly affected, unlike the Azure thing, right? The Azure thing did affect the entire system. The CrowdStrike stuff affected the endpoints because from what I understood, the piece of software that got hit is the one that mitigates between the OS and the USB, right? Makes sure that anything plugged into a system is vetted out, is allowed, right? So there's no data leakage from endpoints. I might be wrong here, and it might be installed on servers as well, which would make sense. But mostly, right, it's supposed to. The way I understood it, it affected only the endpoint. So at that point, it wasn't like the server backend was down. That was the Microsoft issue, which they solved before the CrowdStrike stuff started. It's just it was pretty much back to back. It was that once that was fixed, the teller at the bank or the person at the counter in the airport, they couldn't access anything because their machines were down, their physical machines at the location. And the problem with that is that to fix it, you need to do something at that machine. Nothing can be done remotely. So fixing it is a very, very, very slow process.
And most of the people probably that are at the machine don't have the rights, the privilege to do what needed to be done anyway, right?
Right. You'll need to give them
Access.
So I can tell you what happened with our company, right?
Before you do that, can I plead ignorant here?
Yeah.
I would assume, like, specifically, and I'm going to stick with the airport example because we talked about them with the first Azure database issue. I assumed when you go and you go to your gate and they've got the little computer in front of them and they do whatever they do on that. I assumed that was a dumb client. I mean, obviously I knew they had a physical computer there, but I assumed that computer did not have any antivirus, did not have anything installed
It's
on
a
it. I thought
terminal.
it was a straight dumb terminal.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it even
no.
has
So
anything installed on it besides an
there is
RDP window.
today, right, on modern machines, there's no longer a mainframe where you
Yeah, I
just
guess
hook
you're
up
right.
to a serial port, right? You
Yeah.
run something. It might be dumb in the term that the only thing it runs, it's like a Chromebook, okay? It just runs the
The
browser,
communication
okay?
probe.
Or
Sure.
it just runs the desktop side of that application and it connects to the backend, but it still runs Windows.
Yeah.
Right. Most of these machines run Windows.
And that's the
The-
problem.
I just noticed an article that said that Microsoft says faulty CrowdStrike Falcon update caused widespread outages to Windows 365 cloud clients.
Mhm.
See, that's the other thing too to note is because there's many of these AV products that get installed on your Office 365 instance. That would explain locking everybody out of their email, and even after the Azure issue was fixed, still being unable to access many of those assets because they were likely blocked behind this I don't even know what you call those levels of firewall, but I've used um there's another really popular one. I'm completely blanking on it right now. Um that's not CrowdStrike. That like gets installed into Office 365 in the cloud. I don't really know how it all works, to be honest with
This article
You
says
talk
that
about Proofpoint.
It doesn't
you.
matter.
I don't
Keep
remember
going.
what it's called, but
Yeah.
it's like a virtual security suite essentially that runs inside of a business's Office 365. Because when you have Office 365, unlike years and decades past, there's no physical server anywhere
Right.
that you control, that you own. You pay $12.50 a month to Microsoft per user, and they're just that's it. Then you just have access. You're completely hands off at that point.
the article says that it caused a reboot loop.
Yeah.
Where it
So I
couldn't use
wonder
the
if that was
machine at
reboot
all. Yeah.
looping Office 365. Obviously, it's a distributed server network with Office 365, but I do wonder, Gal, if it was so embedded in the backend that it was literally causing those Microsoft servers to go offline.
So let's explain that reboot loop for a second.
Sure.
Okay. You install some crappy driver, right? And then you reboot the system, and then the first thing you see is right after the circle that goes around, right? You see a blue screen, right? And at that point, by default, the OS is set to just preserve some data about that, and about 10 to 15 seconds later, it reboots. But the next time it'll reboot, it tries to load the same drivers, right? And it fails. What Windows does, it actually takes note of which of these drivers have been failing. And if it's new, right, it
Omits it.
after a few boots like that, it just reverts back. It takes it out of the equation and starts. Windows as an OS knows how to solve it. But here's the problem, right? One of the first thing that loads after a valid boot is CrowdStrike, and one of the first thing that it will do is, hey, I have an update, right?
Oh boy.
So for the first hour and a half, when the update was still alive, right, that went on. What happened afterwards? Why it took so long afterwards? I think part of it has to do with some of these machines were configured not to automatically revert back, right? Because that can be a security issue of its own. So it all depends on how security is managed in each of these networks. So as long as everybody kept with the default settings of these mechanisms, then things would be better. But, right, that's probably not the case in most of these because everyone has their own a way of managing security in a network. So yeah, but my uncle from Australia, whenever something in the news comes up about tech, he reaches out, says, "Please explain to me because the news isn't helping." He says, "Do I need to pull my money from the bank?"
Well,
And the thing is, this particular the CrowdStrike one, right? This particular issue, this one was probably the most annoying breakdown we've ever experienced, but in no way dangerous, right? In no way like there's not going to be long-term effects unless, right? And here I might be completely ignorant, unless there was some uh, like life or death machine that couldn't boot up and was keeping somebody alive, right?
mhm.
I don't know if that's the case. I do know administration of hospital stuff has been delayed. Over here in Raleigh, right? We have a friend who's going through chemo, and she had to go through chemo that the Friday on Friday, just a day after, and or maybe it was Thursday, and yeah, and she was just delayed a bit. It took 2 hours or something delay, but she was treated because the systems themselves that actually do the work, they're not relying on the servers. It's just administration that has been delayed. But
And
yeah,
we might note this was not CrowdStrike wasn't hacked. This was
Right.
just a botched update. This was maybe you
Yeah.
forgot a comma or a parenthesis somewhere in a
Well-
file and pushed it by accident, something like that.
This is negligence. Like
Sure.
there is no other way. There's no any other wording would be whitewashing this. This is negligent,
Mm.
right?
So
This
somebody got
should
fired.
not happen. I don't. It's not about getting fired. The negligence here is about process, right? If their process allows this, right, then it's like at the top level that somebody needs to get hacked. If this is somebody doing something against protocol, then yeah, then it's probably just a small group of people that made the mistake. But whoever is involved in this, right, I am sure that they are sweating through pores that they've never felt before.
You know, this is a larger sign of technology from software to video games where QA, quality assurance, and product testers, specifically in the video game industry, and I'm sure Katie can speak to this as well, are essentially gone. Like there's very little QA testing that goes on. You push patches live, the people deal with it. In the video game
No.
realm, this is what's happened.
It's
Let me
Yeah, go
just
ahead,
on
go
the
ahead, go
on the video game side, because this is where it's frustrating as a user. You know, a major game releases an update, a patch, or whatever, and it breaks some major feature, and you're like, how the hell does this get forward? Right? This is a game with millions of players. You obviously did not do any stringent quality testing versus video games back in the 80s and 90s where you mailed out a physical cartridge. If you didn't do your QA testing, well, there was no update, right? If it was baked into the ROM, that has changed, and I think it's a sign of and maybe it's not as relevant in the technology realm, software and stuff. But I mean, how many times has Microsoft pushed Windows updates that are just
They broke
disasters
things,
that
yeah.
break a whole bunch of things, and you're like, who is testing this stuff?
Yep.
So I don't know. That's just one of the things that came to my mind when I was reading about this. Just a lack of actually testing your updates because
What?
everybody's just and nobody wants to. These companies have
it's
hacked and slashed their QA.
it's not. I always wish it would be that simple. It's not that simple. So first of all, you're right. QA is fading out of the world as a department, as a body that is only interested in that, like just a separate entity in the company. That has definitely gone away from the world. What happened is because that never actually worked. That was always problematic. QA would have the ongoing excuse of we're backed up. I can't deal with it. Whatever feature you come and build into the product, you never talked with me, and I can't help you with that, right? And so that process never really worked. And what happened today is what QA has been integrated into the development group. And what that means is there's still somebody doing QA. He's just part of that group. He does it every day, every single day for whatever that group is producing. So they went back to a startup model basically and said, okay, you got this small group, right? They're in charge of this modules or this particular systems, right? And They're testing themselves there. Now, there is also a team that does integration, and they have their own QA as well. So QA hasn't gone outdoor, right? It's just it has morphed and shifted into the development groups themselves.
Does
Now,
wait one second. Does anybody remember when they first talked about Windows 10, how Microsoft said, because of our new release strategy, we're de-emphasizing Q&A? Do you remember?
No.
Amnon,
but
you remember that?
de-emphasizing QA on a large scale.
On a wide scale, and they were going to move
Yeah.
it, like you said, into development.
Well,
And-
and they've offloaded some of that with the Windows Insider program. You can be so lucky, Spence, to sign up and become a Windows Insider and get the updates early, and then bring them to
Yeah, but Nick,
Microsoft.
you're
They've
looking-
offloaded that. Crowdsourced it, I guess. No pun intended.
You're looking at it from an individual point of view, and that you get nothing by going insider, but as a company or even a developer, right? Suddenly, the developers who are relying on the environment that Microsoft is developing, that's very important, right? You want to be cutting edge, right? They're also providing feedback directly, right?
That's true.
About what's wrong. So what Microsoft did, it looks like let's use our users instead of taking care of it. But it's the thing is, even if we do take care of it, we will not be exposed to the wide range of hardware and software combinations, right, that our users are already exposed to. So instead of trying to guess where it would fail, right, let's see where it would fail. And that's the insider here. And it makes sense to a degree. Just to answer Nick's point on gaming, right? In gaming, it is more complex because even though you do test and you check integration and stuff, a game is a process that cannot be rushed, right? You need to go through all the steps to see that everything works, and there's tons of branches. And there is a problem, anticipation, and that's why things break like that. Because even the small, there is no in essence, in the way it's spread out like any IT system. But in essence, there is no insider program for other developers, right? There's no way of actually testing it the way users are going to use it.
That's true.
That's where the complexity comes with games.
Well,
Unless you're doing
somebody,
it with
hold on.
PlayStation, right? Or something like that.
I feel like I could contribute to this conversation because as somebody that works for a company that makes games and does have a QA department, it is, as Gall says, it's very, very complicated. It's not as easy as just building the game and making it, because the game will run perfectly in the studio's ecosystem. And I actually heard a stat the other day where they have software that plays the game, no joke, 1 billion times. Like, it will just sit in a warehouse for months on end, and a computer or AI will just run the game, run the different scenarios. Where the problems crop up, majority of them is what Gall said, is when they send the game out to out into the wild, and they run into problems with people's setup. And the games are more complicated because it has a money system involved with them. So the biggest headache is like trying to integrate the stuff with their servers or their SaaS servers or whatever that they're using, and it will work for one customer, but then they go to a different customer and they'll have a completely different setup, or it's like working with these third party things to get it to work. And that's why my office was basically shut down during this whole CrowdStrike thing, was because the majority of the issues was tech support. So like, the games would run fine, but to integrate into their systems, that was all broken. So basically the whole company was shut down, even though technically the games are fine, but everything else outside of the game, it was just a hot mess.
Yeah, but was it because of CrowdStrike or was it because of the Azure problem?
I have no idea. They use
Yeah.
Azure. I download the games from Azure to
Yeah.
get the art files. But I think it's probably both because the games are what Gall was said when they have the game systems out at establishments and there's like heavy tech support to make sure they run fine and they're on machines. So I'm sure that was all down to, and so they have to send somebody out there. I mean, they already have a team that services the machines, but we're talking spread across the whole country practically. So yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't affected personally because all of my stuff is on Google Cloud as far as like the art assets. And I didn't need to download any new games, so I didn't have to go to Azure. I already downloaded my stuff to make my videos, and so I just made my video, and then the whole company was just like all hands on deck trying to fix other stuff. So
I have to say, I saw this concept start to be developed when Scrum was introduced.
Yeah, that's
Well, I
part of
was
Scrum. You're right.
Yeah, and I was in a technology
What is
company
Scrum?
that was Scrum is a type of programming architecture. It comes from rugby, right? So people get together, they say, "Here's what we're going to do." We go out and do it. And you come back again in the next day. So here's what we're going to do. We'll get it out. It gets features out a lot faster to customers. But the problem is if they don't have in place the testing. I was working for a company. We put out releases for communication software, desktop stuff that wasn't ready because they had to get I want the feature out there. And they'd actually take a vote from customers to say, here's the 10 things we can do. Pick from this list of 20 the 10 things you want. And it's very good because it's very customer focused. But I can think of another company that suffered from this now, Boeing.
Yes.
Boeing's whole culture of testing went into the toilet when McDonnell Douglas took over the company.
And now look at what's going on. They've got what, 3 astronauts that have been stranded on the
They're
ISS.
stuck.
For
Yeah,
the
2 of them
last
stuck
3
because they can't bring the
4
bring the
weeks because
capsule
they can't
back.
bring the capsule back because it's such a hot mess. Yeah.
Oh. All right. I think we covered CrowdStrike.
Well, actually, I want to. I cut off God. I'd like to hear his experience real quick.
Oh.
What So what? Because you're kind of in an interest with your job. You're not just a regular end user. You guys are also developing and doing some of that stuff. So what was the effect for you guys?
Well, I can't say this happened, right? The CrowdStrike issue. First of all, our company does use Azure, right? And and I believe and we do use CrowdStrike, right? So I hope I'm not, saying something I shouldn't. But and what we did get is it was so the IT team, the main IT team, they sit in Israel, right? So that means they got to deal with this a lot earlier than I started working. By the time I woke up, I saw on my mobile phone an email from them saying if you got hit by this, and for me it didn't affect me because my laptop wasn't on, so I didn't need to deal with it locally. It's only the remote machine that just got rebooted for me. So for me, the effect was small, very, very small. In essence, those who had laptops, Windows laptops or desktops from work, they might have gotten the blue screen, right? And that meant that they need to do some. There's a process. You need to get everything's locked with BitLocker, so you need to unlock the BitLocker. So there's some explanation on how to do that. If you're relying on Active Directory in Azure's, then it's rather simple. You log in from your home machine and you get a code, and then you type it in the laptop, and then you're in. If there's no such system for end users in a company, then the IT department, they need to reach each and every machine. And that is where I'm guessing most of the problem outside the world happened. But for us, it was, we got a bunch of instructions on what to do, how to get the machine to safe mode, which file to delete, and then reboot. and yes, it's annoying, and it's a process that a lot of non-technical people will really, really be scared of. But overall, it's a simple, I don't know, 10-step solution. Okay. Um, yeah, it's definitely was a shit show. For me, I just woke up to it after the fact, so didn't experience it. Uh, in Israel, I think it affected the workday. I'm guessing half of the people didn't work at least half of the day, if not more, maybe all of the people. So yeah, it was. The thing is, at the very beginning is the not knowing, right? Really fearing that there was a breach or something,
Hmm.
because a breach that, if I'll take the discussion I had with my uncle in Australia, right, is that is, yeah, you need to worry, right? But no, this one was just so annoying, so annoying. It affected so much for a small time, uh, but it it was just negligent, just annoying, right? I think that's the main problem. That's the emotion that I would attach to this specific one. A real huge annoyance, but a huge one, right?
No,
Uh, yeah. Let's put it this way:
all right.
I'd rather hear about stuff like this than
Then
a global
breaches.
breach,
Yeah.
right? Or somebody saying, yeah, if you have your servers on Azure, then screwed, or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, right. Or an EMP or something like that, right? That would be major problem. But this one was just annoying.
You haven't built a Faraday cage around your house yet?
Forget my house. What about the bank?
What wasn't there a series? I don't remember what the name of it was, where like the biggest bank in the United States uh, had their whole database wiped, gone. No, they
I
had
don't
no
know, but I want
backup.
to watch that series.
But it was you had people coming into the bank. I want to withdraw money. We can't give you money. Why?
Yeah,
Because we don't know how much money you have.
yeah.
And well, I have my statement. Well, we can't use that
Well,
as proof.
there's a Fight Club, right? The last scene in Fight Club. I won't spoil it, but
Yeah.
that's
So
along
that's
Yeah.
these lines.
yeah. Okay. Nick,
Yes.
you have specials?
Yeah, I got a couple quick things.
All right.
Um,
Let's do it.
yeah. This is pretty cool. This is right up Gal's alley. We talk a lot about like smart devices and connected devices, and a lot of them are wireless devices, 2.4 gigahertz, or some sort of proprietary technology. And you've probably heard us talk about Z-Wave and Zigbee in the past. And it's not often that we have devices that are made for Z-Wave or Zigbee that are on sale, because they're not as the items are not as plentiful as all of the other smart home connected devices. But I saw this on Amazon. This is a 4-pack of Zigbee water leak sensors with drip detection. One of the things that makes these really cool, and why I'm going to probably pick this pack up, is not only will it alert your whatever you're using, smart home or home assistant, smart things, whatever hub you're using, but it also has an audible alarm on it as well. I've had some issues in the past, and I woke up this morning to find that my Z-Wave controller is offline once again. But even if that's the case, you will still get the audible alarm for this device, even if something happens and you're unable to connect to your hub for a period of time. So you get 4 of these sensors for $56. It's a pretty good deal. They claim 3-year long battery life with 2 AA batteries. The reviews that I read claimed 2 years. Either way, still a pretty good deal. Different than the a lot of these devices use the button cell batteries, and um, those don't have a great battery life. You're looking at less than a year before
Especially
you
if
have
they
to.
have an alarm in them.
Well, most of those ones don't,
Yeah.
because it's not practical. The alarm
Right.
sounds once and the battery's dead. Um, but with 2 AA batteries, you get some serious
Yeah.
time out of this. So If you don't need 4, you can get a single for $20. But the 4-pack is a pretty good deal. That's available over at Amazon. Note, this is Zigbee. So you're not gonna pair it to a Wi-Fi. You're not gonna open just some random app on your phone and get connected. You do need other hardware to make something like this work.
And that other hardware might be your Echo device, because some new Echo devices, they incorporate the Zigbee controller in them. So check. Okay.
Perfect. So yeah, there's some different options there. Just make sure you do a little bit of research on that before
Yeah,
you
and
purchase.
these are not the size of a woman's earring like it looks. They must
No, these
be
are,
a
well,
good
I mean, think
size.
about it. There's 2 AA batteries in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not the small, but it's perfect for a hot water drip pan.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Perfect for a drip pan for an HVAC unit. Or it'll slide under a washing machine, whatever. Pretty
Yeah,
good deal.
You can definitely place it inside your palm of your hand, but it's not small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some of the, like I have the Zeus leak sensors. Those things are tiny. They're about the size of about half the size of a matchbox. They're very small.
Yep.
But they've got their issues with it. So that's at Amazon. Next up, Eufy. This is who I have for my doorbell. They're very popular. They're very popular with doorbells. This is a combo unit. So if maybe you are looking at getting a smart doorbell, but you're also thinking, okay, I'm ready to ditch having a key to unlock the door. This is a combo unit. So it's not only a doorbell, but it's also the locking mechanism. As you'll note, there's no door handle on this. So this would be a replacement for a deadbolt. But it's a video doorbell with smart lock. It's got a fingerprint reader on it, so you can unlock your door with that. As you can see, it's got a 10 key, or actually a 13 key numpad, so you can type in it. You can unlock it from your phone. A whole bunch of different options. It comes with the hub, so you can get your doorbell will chime inside. You put an SD card in it to back up the video storage. Obviously, it's not the cheapest thing in the world. It's $230, but you'll spend at least $100, if not $150 on a doorbell, and then you'll spend at least $100, if not more, on a smart lock. So you can get all of it in one unit, with one app, and everything kind of works together. So, and the one nice thing about Eufy is there is no monthly subscription. It's, you buy the hardware. There is no $299 a month or $100 a year to get access to it. It's completely free. Obviously, that's subject to change, but as of now, I've been very happy with their stuff. And the Eufy alerts very quickly. Some of these various smart apps, there can be a decent delay between when the device is triggered and when you get the notification. In my experience, Eufy is damn near as close to instant as you can get. You ring the doorbell, your phone is buzzing within a second, if not less. It's very, very quick.
Nick, do they do geofencing?
I assume that they do, Spence. You're talking about where it will automatically unlock your
Yeah,
door
like
you're
if your
close to
phone
it.
shows up at the door.
Yeah, I would gamble and say that they do, just with all of their other features. I'm going to be honest, I didn't really investigate. Yes.
Well, that's
Well, it
okay.
says it does
I was
app.
looking for
It's
something
got
that
a
might do that.
key
So,
backup, and it does say app, so I wonder if that's part of
yeah.
it. So
It
you
would be
can,
good if you had to have the app running on your phone when you walked up to the door. That would be a little more level of security. And somebody steals your
definitely.
phone, he just walks up to the door.
You're gonna want to make sure you measure and all that stuff with this, because it is replacing a deadbolt. There might be some issues there. So
Yeah.
check it out. It's available over on Amazon, $230. And then finally, this brand, they make a lot of really cool things. This is a 4-pack of fully addressable RGB bulbs. These are regular, as you can see on the picture, regular socket replacement bulbs. So you would put this in a lamp, put this in a light fixture. You would leave the light on all the time and then control the bulb with the app or with some other sort of device where you can completely control the color of this. Really good deal. 4 of these bulbs for $23. Regular light bulbs are that cost. And you're getting fully RGB addressable light bulbs for the same price. And Govi's got a really, like Eufy, Govi's got a really good ecosystem with a lot of their different devices. So check that out over on Amazon as well.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You guys buy anything on Prime Day?
I
No.
bought a ton of filament. A lot of the 3D printing filament was on sale. I also bought a Ring camera, a Ring doorbell camera, and a Ring inside camera, I guess.
Nice.
Need
I
to
bought a
replace one.
couple of Wise cameras. Their new version 3 of their pan tilt is now waterproof outdoor, and it does tracking. So it, you can walk into the room and it will track you. And so I got it for like $26.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm pretty
nice.
sure the people that delivered to my house is so over me right now because filament's heavy and to bring it up my driveway.
They couldn't bring it up the driveway? You bought that much?
No, they can't. I'm just saying it's like they bring it up. So I don't buy like industrial amounts or whatever. So they don't have the pallet,
Mhm.
whatever. So they have to do it by hand, or I guess they could have a trolley or whatever, a dolly. But everybody I've seen, they just carry it up my driveway, put it in front of my door, and it weighs like 40 pounds.
Jeez. Well, I don't know. I didn't buy anything, and Hannah came that evening, and I didn't even know it was Prime Day. And she was saying, "Did you buy anything on Prime Day?" I said, "No, when is Prime Day?" She said, "Today." I said, "No, I didn't." I said, "What did you get?" She said, "Nothing. I couldn't find anything. I mean, it's not what it used to be. It used to be you can find a lot of deals, but it's I couldn't find anything that I need that was any good price."
Yeah, a lot of it's trash.
Well, Gal, who is of course the linchpin of the show here, he pointed out this plugin years ago for folks, and if you don't use it, you need to. It's called Keepa, Keepa. It's an Amazon. It's a Chrome or Firefox add-on that you install, and what it does is it shows you the price history of something on Amazon. And so I did I bought a new medicine cabinet for my bathroom. And of course it was a great deal on Prime Day. But
Okay.
as I looked at the product, it was the same normal sale price that they always have. For example,
Wow.
this is that Eufy doorbell. Um, you can look at it over its history of when is this a good deal. So this is super helpful for things like Prime Day. You can actually see if what you're buying is a good deal or not. In most of the cases on Prime Day now, I think it's their typical sale price, which they do sometimes more than once a month. That's part of the issue. Everything's always on sale on Amazon. I mean, when was the last time you bought something that didn't have one of these, even 5% off thing on Amazon? Everything is always on sale.
Yeah.
It kind of nullifies the whole Prime Day thing. Why would you wait till Prime Day?
Well,
No,
Prime Day was
Yeah.
nullified the moment they started, right? They started it, what, 6 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, something like that. It's been a long
And
time.
even when they started, it's like everybody was questioning whether is this comparable to Black Friday, for example, or even before that, people were asking question: is Black Friday really that good of a deal, right? When you get something on Black Friday, a plugin like this helps you see through that smoke screen, and you get to make your decision based on data and not hunches. So yeah.
I love the plugin. I also use it. I will say that really the only thing I buy on Prime Day are Amazon products because Amazon products are usually 50 to 60% off their original price.
Yep.
And I can confirm because I use the Kepa, whatever it's
Yeah.
called, and it shows that over the year, whenever they have a Prime Day or a sale, the cheapest they go is what they have it on Prime Day. So I never buy Amazon stuff at full price. And also I was surprised to see that the filament was on sale because the filament is one of those items that it can it can't, the price can fluctuate or whatever, or they can tweak the price where like beforehand they say, oh, it's $30 and now it's 20, when really 20 is like the normal price. But no, I guess they were trying to get rid of it because I got filament for like $10 a roll, which is like the cheapest you can get it for.
And it's the same type of filament you've been using, right? You didn't go on a different quality.
No, it's the same. Yeah, different companies. Each company has their own kind of plastic formula, so they're all not going to look exactly the same. But it's, PLA black.
Yeah. Awesome.
Nice. All right, here is another piece of information. At least a dozen organizations with domain names at domain registrar SquareSpace saw their websites hijacked last week. Squarespace bought all assets of Google domains a year ago, but many customers still haven't set up their new accounts. Experts say malicious hackers learn they could commandeer any migrated Squarespace accounts that didn't yet been registered merely by supplying an email address tied to an existing domain. So if you had your domain name, if you registered it with Google Domains, which they did away with a year ago, and Squarespace bought it, make sure that that you go in there and you set it up on Squarespace. Don't just leave it. I mean, yeah, it'll work because they made the defaults work, but it also allows somebody else to get in and set it up. So just remember that. And another piece of information, Netflix will start phasing out its basic plan, its cheapest advertising free plan, which costs $11.99 per month in the United States. They said on Thursday. We talked about it before, and yes, they're doing away with it. Let's see what else that is kind of.
I have a movie recommendation.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Has anybody watched the Apple 2023 Tetris movie?
No.
It is a must watch. It's a great film. It's on Apple Plus. It's also available via other places if you search hard enough. It's about the guy that licensed Tetris and convinced Nintendo to bundle it with the Game Boy instead of they were going to do Super Mario Brothers. Obviously, they went with Tetris, and it ended up it's a really, really well done documentary. Is not the I don't know what you
take it with a grain
that.
of salt. The drama there is heightened, right?
There is a lot of hype drama, but it is 100% the true story of how Tetris became, how the whole Tetris licensing worked. I'm not going to spoil where it came from, but a lot of interesting history with it. Really well done. The graphics are phenomenal. A lot of 8-bit animation stuff. Very, very cool. So if you haven't watched that, it's highly recommend.
Good.
Did anybody hear that they're doing yet another Battlestar Galactica?
Didn't the last one flop?
Awesome.
Or
They're
no?
doing another. They're
Okay.
working on it, and they finally think they're going to get it going now. It's going to be it's 20 years ago. I'm rewatching the one from 2004.
So
Okay.
if you're rewatching 2004, let me make a recommendation.
Yep.
Watch it with
the commentary.
It's called Battlestar Galactic Cast. I think it's a podcast with Mark Bernardin and Trisha Helfer. She plays number 6.
Yes. My daughter used to do this all the time. Yeah.
So I would recommend this because, first of all, Mark Bernardin, the guy who's doing, I follow him. That's how I got to it. And he's an author and a screenwriter and now a director. He he has a phenomenal take on storytelling that is excellent. And Trisha Helfer, she brings a lot of the inside stories from the show, and Galactic Battlecast or something like that. I'll find it. I'll send you the link later. But there's also, they get a lot of, because they got some funding from Sci-Fi when they did the podcast. They got guests coming on as well, and they did some live shows. And so listening to it while watching the show, I would highly recommend.
Okay. All
We
right
used to
then.
do that. We used to do that with Lost, kind of an after show. After they had an episode come out, you could watch it again with insider commentary. It was cool.
Cyber criminals are using Facebook business pages and advertisements to promote fake Windows themes that infect unsuspecting users with the sys01 password stealing malware. Trustwave researchers who observed the campaign said the threat actors also promote fake downloads for pirated games and software like Sora AI, 3D Image Creator, and One Click Active. While using Facebook advertising to push information stealing malware is not new, the social media platform massive reach makes this campaign a significant threat. You go on Facebook to find programs to download, as you know.
The problem, so this is a commentary, Amnon, for you, because you do not use Facebook.
Right, I don't.
The problem is that an ad like that, for somebody who's naive, I'll call it,
Yeah,
okay, or
right.
uneducated about different cues, visual cues, it looks like another post. Okay, you can, if you do not, when I watch anything on the web, right, the first thing I'm doing is I try to identify where the ads are.
Right.
Because if they're not blocked by my ad blocker, I want to know what the visual cue is immediately. And then I read the page as if that doesn't exist. I don't care about any content that is marked as an ad. But most people, they don't filter that out, not by a tool and not by a mental click. It's like, even if it's an ad, it says, oh, this looks interesting, and they click it, right? So I have this internal aversion against it, but most people, they don't make that distinction.
Right, they don't
And so
look
it
for
just
it.
looks like another ad.
Yeah.
If you look at Instagram, it's even more similar to the rest of the posting. Same with TikTok, right? An ad and a regular video by a user, they look pretty much the same, except a very, very small tag somewhere saying that this is sponsored. So it's very easy for people to fall into the trap, especially if the content that they are already discussing on Facebook and stuff is applications or something, right? So it just looks like more of what they did, and then hey, this is recommended. You can take a look at this.
You mentioned TikTok. Funny, I mean, I don't use TikTok. Yesterday, when Hannah was here, she wanted me to fix hummus for a friend of hers. So I started, and I got the jar of tahini, and I'm trying to open it, and it won't open. And we have one of those things under the counter that you. And she said, "Wait, Dad." She said she said she saw it, that if you take the jar, you put your hand over the top of it, and you press real hard, then it'll open. I said, really? So I tried it. Bam, it opened up. And she said, you see that? And they say TikTok is not worth it.
Yeah.
In the
That's true.
future, you know what I do? To
What?
open jars, I just bang or I tap the lid of the jar on the counter, and
Yeah.
it loosens it up. And
Well, yeah.
It's the same. It's the same effect, right? You're just
Right.
entering some air into the vacuum, and then you can twist it. So
You,
but then I don't have to
figured,
go. "Wah!"
I figured you break the seal, kind of. It
Yeah,
was it was
exactly.
interest it was very interesting, and but the way she said it, yeah, people said that TikTok doesn't have anything that's worth it. Sound like that.
Was
Anyway,
this a screw-on jar? Like a screw-on lid?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I was asking. Okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Gotta tap it.
Last
Just take the glass and like a barroom fight, just smash it on the side of the counter, and then you got a nice
yeah, then
little shank if you need to go after somebody.
Yeah.
the FBI last week, the FBI was giving access to unreleased technology to access the phone of the man identified as the shooter of former President Donald Trump. As the FBI struggled to gain access on Sunday morning to the phone, they appealed directly to CellBright, a digital intelligence company founded in Israel that supplies technology to several U.S. federal agencies. So they give them the latest and greatest stuff that's not out there yet, and they did get into the phone. Um, so sometimes things like these work. I know there are all kind of stories why things like that should not exist because they can be abused uh, by especially by some law enforcement around the world that will do it. But in this case, it was right. It was nice. They could get in and find some whatever they needed to find out. And if you are a postal service customer, we all are because we all get
Yeah.
email.
Isn't that whole Seinfeld episode? You can't. Kramer tried to cancel his mail. It's not a thing. You can't
Right.
get out of the system. It's not possible.
So the story goes the US Postal Service was sharing the postal addresses of its online customers with advertising and tech giants Meta, LinkedIn, and Snap, TechCrunch found. On Wednesday, the USPS said it addressed the issue and stopped the practice. And here's the interesting thing claiming that it was unaware of it. They
Oh,
just
wait,
had all
wait.
this.
No. This is actually that's interesting. I understand exactly what they mean by unaware of it, right? I'm not saying they are unaware of it. I'm
Yeah.
saying they're stupid, but they probably added some links, right? They added some links. The links you add that find us on Instagram, find us on Facebook, find
yeah.
us.
Oh,
So every time you add that code snippet that you take from Meta or from Twitter, that in essence, right, embeds JavaScript code into your page and it becomes part of your page. So whatever that page is exposed to, it can also be exposed to that part. And that's how Meta does their business. That's part of how they collect all of the information. So it's not like they wanted to share, they wanted to be cool.
they're saying that they were
messed
sharing.
up.
They were sharing customer information by way of hidden data collecting
Yeah.
code, also known as tracking pixels,
Exactly. Yeah.
used
That's exactly
across
what I
its
described.
websites.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very interesting.
Actually, it's a good point. I mean, it's a shame, right? That
Yeah.
this is the USPS and this happened on their website. Oh, by the way, just an FYI, right? If you're using, I don't know about Chrome because I haven't used it in a while, but I'm guessing that's true there as well. Using any of the modern browser, including
Firefox,
Edge and Firefox, in strict mode, right? Those are useless. Those pixels, they do not collect your information, right? Just understand that if you've been taking care of yourself this entire time, you're probably not affected. But yeah, that's a
Okay.
shame. That's a real shame.
No. All right. Anything else anybody wants to add? Mention to bring up. Katie, you're going to be at the convention here next weekend.
Yep, I'll be at GalaxyCon up in the Artist Alley. So if anybody's in town, I want to come say hi.
A23.
A23.
I checked the catalog. It says A23.
Yeah, Gall's my manager. Because
Against
I
the
don't pay
wall.
attention to anything. Well, I take that
I'm,
back. I'm too busy doing trying to get inventory ready.
Yeah, I'm sure. I am going to visit you with a little friend. So
Perfect. I'm
I'm
bringing
a youngling with me.
nice. I'm bringing a bunch of used books to sell because those do really well at cons, and I have my maps and my 3D printed stuff, but I need to thin out my books at my house. So I'm just gonna. There'll be a lot of books that
Yeah,
she
you
can
need
pick
the
from.
shells for something else. I know.
Yeah, more printers.
Okay. Anything
I'll
else?
see you at the con, and I won't be here next week.
Okay. Anybody else? Nothing else? Everything's cool and fine. Good. All
Couldn't be
right. Well,
better.
what? Say again?
Couldn't be better.
Couldn't be better. Things
Mm.
can always be better. Come on.
Yes.
You gotta. Yeah. All right. So thanks, Katie, Nick, Spence, Gal, and good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Donna, Dina, Mati, Eleanor, Sarid, Yaakov and Yael, and Sarid, our hearts are with you. Thank you for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. And change same passwords where you use them. And do the 3-2-1 backup thingy. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. You need to go to nickcraig.com and check out what Nick is doing next. You'll be surprised. Tuesday, 7. No, I mean, Nick and Brian do the Infection podcast on Twitch every week. You need to go to infectionpodcast.com and find out when the live show is, or just go to infectionpodcast.com and download the latest. Have a great week, and we'll be back together next.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com and DeltaForce.net.